Emma loved old things, especially dolls. She said they had stories hidden in their eyes. Every weekend, she searched antique stores, hoping to find something rare and forgotten. One evening, while scrolling through her phone, she saw a strange online ad. Victorian dolls for sale. Must go tonight. Cheap. The address was 2 hours away, in a small town that didn't even appear clearly on the map. Something about the picture in the ad felt wrong. The dolls were sitting on an old chair, their faces cracked, their dresses covered in dust, and yet their glass eyes looked almost alive. Still, curiosity won. Emma packed her camera, her flashlight, and drove through the night. The road was dark, lined with crooked trees that seemed to lean closer as she passed. The GPS lost signal near the end, but she saw a dim light in the distance, a huge, crumbling house standing alone. When she knocked, an old man opened the door. His hands were shaking, and his eyes looked empty, as if he hadn't slept in years. "You came for the dolls?" he asked in a whisper. "Yes," Emma smiled. "I collect them." He nodded slowly. "Then take them. All of them. But promise me something." "What?" she asked. "Never look them in the eyes after midnight." Emma laughed softly, thinking he was just an eccentric old man trying to be creepy. "Sure," she said. "I promise." The old man didn't smile. He turned away, muttering something she couldn't hear. Emma picked up the 3 dolls from a dusty table. Each one was different. One wore a red dress and had a chipped cheek. The second had blonde curls and missing fingers. The third, the smallest one, was dressed like a baby and had one eye half closed, like it was winking. She paid the man, packed the dolls in her car, and drove home. But halfway down the road, she glanced in her rearview mirror and froze. For a second, she thought one doll had turned its head slightly toward her. She blinked, shook her head, and laughed nervously. "Just shadows," she told herself. When she got home, it was past midnight. The wind howled outside as she placed the dolls carefully on a shelf in her living room. She took some photos for her Instagram page, but when she looked through them later, she noticed something strange. In one picture, the doll in the red dress was facing slightly to the left. In the next picture, taken seconds later, it was facing forward, staring directly at her. Emma frowned. She zoomed in, but it was hard to tell in the dim light. Maybe she'd moved it accidentally. She shrugged it off and went to bed. Around 3 a.m., a faint giggle echoed in the house. It sounded like a little girl laughing from somewhere near the living room. Emma sat up, heart pounding. She turned on the light and listened. Silence. The next morning, her cat refused to go near the dolls. It hissed every time it passed the shelf. Later that day, while dusting, Emma noticed something chilling. The smallest doll, the one with the half-closed eye, now had both eyes open. She swore she hadn't touched it. She picked it up carefully and felt a coldness spread through her fingers, like the doll was made of ice. For a second, she thought she heard a soft whisper, "Don't leave us." Emma dropped the doll. It rolled under the sofa. When she bent to look, it was gone. She searched everywhere but couldn't find it. That night, as rain hit the windows, Emma tried to read in bed. But the soft creaking from the hallway kept pulling her attention. It sounded like small footsteps. She called out, "Hello?" No answer. The sound stopped. She got up, turned on her phone's flashlight, and walked toward the living room. The beam of light caught the edge of the shelf, and all 3 dolls were sitting there again, perfectly in place. The missing one, too. She backed away slowly, her hands shaking. "I must be imagining this," she whispered. But when she turned to go back to her room, she heard something fall. The music box on her bedside table, one she hadn't wound in years, began to play by itself. The soft lullaby filled the air, twisting slower and slower until the tune distorted into a low, broken hum. That was the night Emma decided to lock the dolls away. The next morning, she packed them in a box and took them to the attic. The air up there was thick with dust, and the smell of old wood. As she placed the box down, she heard a faint scratching from inside it. She froze, staring at the box. Then, tap, tap, tap. Something moved inside. Her heart raced. She whispered, "It's just the wood settling." But then the box lid slowly lifted on its own. One doll's porcelain hand appeared, then its head, smiling. Emma screamed and slammed the lid shut. She grabbed duct tape and sealed it, whispering to herself over and over, "They're just toys. They're just toys." That night, she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard tiny voices whispering her name. Emma. Emma. She turned on her phone's camera, thinking to record the sounds as proof. In the live feed, behind her reflection, she saw a small hand move across the floor. Then another. Then, from the dark corner of the room, a face appeared. A doll's face. Smiling. Emma ran to the attic, desperate to end it. She grabbed the box, but it was already open. The dolls sat neatly in a circle facing her. One of them spoke, in a child's voice that didn't belong to any child alive. "You took us from our home," it said. Emma screamed and tried to run, but the attic door slammed shut behind her. The sound of giggling filled the room, dozens of tiny voices laughing, echoing off the wooden walls. The dolls began to move, their porcelain limbs jerking unnaturally. Their glass eyes rolled as they turned toward her, one by one. The smallest doll crawled toward her. Its tiny mouth opened, wider and wider, until it cracked down the side of its face. From that dark opening came a whisper, and then a scream so loud that every window in the attic shattered. The next morning, neighbors called the police after hearing the noise. When they arrived, the attic was empty. No sign of Emma. Only the dolls, sitting silently in a circle. On the shelf, a new doll had appeared. It had Emma's brown hair, her same blue eyes, and even wore a small necklace just like hers. Around its neck hung a tag that read, "Collector's Edition. Emma." The old man who sold the dolls moved away that same week. When asked why, he only said one thing. They always find a new collector. And somewhere, in another dark corner of the internet, another ad appeared. Victorian dolls for sale. Rare. Very old. Must go tonight.